With a backdrop of a town that is suspiciously perfect, and a plot that on paper looks pretty much as generic as any Bodyguard movie could really ever be. Here we get to a series which I think's flown under the radar for a ton of people, but somehow accidentally stumbled its way into being one of the more relevant shows on TV. Yeah, I'm talking about the new series, Paradise. And let me just say, the reason why I think people aren't talking about this show in particular is because we've got another huge, fantastic series that is probably gonna be one of the best of this generation currently airing right now, and that's Severance, which I will definitely have to make a video on eventually. But I think that this series has definitely caught my attention in a way that other series really don't. I was told about this series in passing. I didn't find out about it through like the ads or anything. None of that caught my eye. I was told to watch the first episode, and if that didn't get me, well, there really wasn't gonna be a point in watching the rest. And honestly, that is probably the best introduction to the series that I had. Going into it without knowing absolutely anything makes it so much better. Now, this video is only gonna be talking about the first 3 episodes because the series hasn't ended yet. So I don't know if this is all gonna pan out to be a huge dumpster fire or anything like that. I'm hoping for the best at this current moment because goddamn, that first episode really did get me. And I think it is one of the better examples in modern television of suspense being done right. Basically, in the series, we've got Agent Collins over here in quite a little bit of a predicament because the President of the United States has been found dead. Like I said, a pretty generic plot point. It's a murder mystery. It's a thing that's been done in TV shows and movies hundreds, thousands of times over at this point. You're not gonna be watching the series based on that alone, or if I'm to say, based off the dialogue in kind of general, it's pretty cliche, pretty simple. There's nothing about that as a whole that's gonna make you think, wow, this is really transforming TV as a medium or anything like that really. Agent Collins, for what you know about him in the first episode, is just a Secret Service agent that has a very bad obsession with James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah, I'm pretty much an expert on James and the Giant Peach right now.
What really is gonna reel you in is the mystery behind everything else. Because yeah, this is a pretty generic plot, but it's in a world that's faced an incredible crisis, a crisis that you've been thinking about, questioning yourself time after time after time. There's something that is obviously going on. The president's words can't be more ominous than this.
Way better off not having any more kids. Smart move right now. Definitely a very smart move.
Our president here played by James Marsden, playing the second Southern progressive that I've seen on a streaming platform. Frank Underwood really paved the way for that, didn't he? But regardless, we see in a mix of back and forth between the present day investigating the murder and the past getting to the point of the murder, how the world came to be. Because the current state of the world is that the remaining population of the human race lives under a mountain in Colorado because some sort of extinction level event occurred, causing everyone else to die. And now this is a society that's controlled just by the rich upper class, and the president is kind of just like a puppet for them to just speak through.
Just read it, Henry. We didn't pick you to have thoughts.
Huh. Yeah, kind of sort of makes sense a little bit about maybe how this is a little bit more relevant. They're not gonna drop the bomb and say that the series takes place in 2025, are they? And at the current moment, we don't know what really caused the end of the world over here. We can only make guesses because they've been teasing us on different little things of what could have been causing this to go down. By itself, if the series was advertised just like this, talking about how this is the end of the world and things of that, I probably wouldn't have cared about jumping into the series. It's the way that the series leads you into this false pretense of this being like a regular murder mystery that you're kind of unaware about what's going on. There's so much more at stake. You get this weird feeling from the very start of the first episode. From the start, you're probably gonna be thinking that the world looks a little bit too clean, a little bit too perfect. That was my first instinct, but I chalked it up to it being, oh, just another generic streaming show. So of course that was gonna be a part of it. But then it goes a little bit further from there. Agent Collins goes to the president's house and discovers his body right there. And unlike what other series do, this doesn't cut to the emergency crew coming in or anything like that. He specifically gets 30 minutes to himself. This instantly raises the tension a little bit because he's doing something that he's definitely not supposed to do, but he's got a good reason for it. The series does a fantastic job at trickling the information down to you as the first episode keeps on going on. All these moments in present day are cut into with flashbacks, explaining a little bit more context about the relationship, about how close they actually were, and something that went on between them that caused them to just fall apart. Granted, it is in some of the most stereotypical kind of dialogue that you're gonna see here. The jock president talking to the more stoic bodyguard that doesn't really say much, but still, you feel something there for them. After you've gotten enough information, you start to think to yourself, did Agent Collins play any role in this? Was there anyone else in the house that played a role in this? These two people look suspicious. They probably had something to do with this. And you get this knowing feeling until the reveal is revealed. And if you let the series lead you on, then you're gonna have that big moment at the very end where you go, wow, I wasn't expecting that. And it's a pleasant surprise. Sterling K. Brown gives you a character that's pretty interesting because you can't really get too much of a read on him. He doesn't let his emotions really come through too easily. So you also get questions about him too, and you want to know more about his storyline. And by the way, Sterling K. Brown is probably the best actor on this show because goddamn, have you seen his other work? American Fiction? Ugh, I really want a moment in this series where he's just gonna completely crash out. I mean, we've gotten a little bit of a glimpse here and there, but still, I want a full-on moment where he gets to really give out his entire range. That's what I'm hoping they say for the last episode. And the rest of the series, along with the fact that it's gonna be about investigating the president's death, it's also gonna be going down the route of finding out what this entire city is really doing, how it's being run, and what nefarious deeds are going down behind the scenes that no one can really see. And I like it. It's interesting. It keeps me guessing because I don't know what they're really gonna show me next, even though this is probably not one of the most thought-provoking series that are out there. We see that these characters aren't just gonna be one-dimensional. The one person in the series that probably could have been the most generic of all of them is Sinatra. Hey, but in the second episode, they gave her an entire backstory. You know where she's coming from. You know that she isn't always this stone-cold person. She has a past that made her exactly who she is. You get why she built the city. Seeing this coming in just episode 2 was pretty unexpected. And so did the de-aging effect, because I don't think that really did her justice. From her backstory, we've learned a few things, like that this entire town was built and planned out a lot earlier than what was probably already known. And we see that she's actually, underneath it all, still human, because throughout her entire backstory, no matter how cliched in terms of like how the rom-com nonsense goes down, we get a little bit of that heartwarming, that bittersweet feeling at the very end with a little interaction between her and her son that is dying, which gets in a conversation which almost got me in my feels, where they talk about what heaven would be like. And the implementation of these horses all throughout the town are a reflection of this conversation. Another character that we got more information about was the psychiatrist in episode 3, who we learned isn't just a regular psychiatrist, she's also the architect to pretty much everything that's inside of this town, from designing how it feels with human interaction to also picking out every individual person that ended up in this shelter. She's a lot more than what we probably anticipated her to be, and she also plays Agent Collins like a goddamn fiddle. I mean, this guy's defenses did not stand up to her for a second. I know he's supposed to be a secret agent and all, but come on, he's a pretty bad judge of character at this point because he just fell like that. And also there's the fact that Billy, the guy that is pretty much the most obvious villain in this entire thing, has been hinted at being a villain. If you didn't see that coming, then I don't really know what kind of series you've been watching, because come on, that's as obvious as it gets in a series that's as cliched as this. Right now, the weakest characters in the show right now are the kids. And no, I'm not saying that because they have terrible music taste. 80s music is just some of the best of all time. They just haven't been fleshed out all too much, but I think that there's a potential for them to have a pretty interesting plot in terms of how they fit into this entire new discovery of what's gonna go down. Off-brand, Timothée Chalamet's purpose can't just be to tease the audience about what these clues all actually mean. But despite that, I still wanna see more of this. I wanna see what's actually going down, and I wanna see how the end of the world happened. Was it nukes? Was it just climate change in general? Did an accident happen? Did something supernatural happen? We don't know. I don't think the series is gonna do anything groundbreaking or anything like that. I don't think it's gonna make a commentary about rich people in the government or take any real stance on anything, but it's entertaining to watch. I'm definitely gonna keep giving the series a watch and giving it a chance. Hopefully by the end of it doesn't disappoint me by giving us a completely just out there or stupid kind of conclusion to everything, but we'll see what ends up happening. And here's where I flip it back to you. I wanna know what you guys think about this because, well, I haven't really heard too much discourse about the series in general. It's like no one really knows that this is happening. I feel like the series gets its viewers through word of mouth more than anything else, really. I mean, my entire TikTok feed has just been Severance for the last however many weeks. So there's that. But what did you guys think? I'd love to know. And with this, as always, I was Randy, and I'll be seeing y'all next time. Peace.